All right, YouTube, let's do another car review. Today I got kind of I'm gonna call it a classic because it feels like it's already a classic just because every manufacturer's gone away from this type of setup just because of fuel economy and other things. So today we've got a 2011 BMW M3, E92 M3 to be specific. This one is it's had about 80,000 miles on it. Still runs like a champ. We've got the 19-inch wheels. They had an 18 and 19, and then you could also get a competition package wheel, which was really cool wheel. But I do like the 19s. They clean good. Pretty sweet. This one is also in Jersey black. So Jersey black kind of looks like a carbon black a little bit. I think it's only came in the M3, at least in 2008. It was kind of limited to the M3. So they made this generation from 2008 to 2013 was the last year. I remember when this car came out, there was an uproar. Everybody coming from their E46 was like, oh, I don't want a V8 and it's too heavy, and like, I just remember everybody just straight up bitching about the E92 M3. Nobody had actually driven it, but it was just internet warrior time, and everybody was just so pissed off that it wasn't like the standard inline six that, you know, BMW had done in the past that was so good. And all I can say is this is probably the best M3 made. The E92 is special in every way. I feel like they kind of broke the mold with this one. The people that designed this car, just the balance and like car feel in the E92 is just incredible. It's heavy. It doesn't have a ton of torque, so this car is about 3,800 pounds. It only makes 295 foot-pounds of torque at sea level, and that's at the crank. So I remember kind of thinking the same thing, like, I hope this car is as good as the last one, you know. Because looking at the weight and the stats, you know, I wasn't so convinced. And I did love the E46 myself, but I was confident it was going to be good. And then I got to drive one I think in 2009, and it's just awesome. When they were in F1, BMW, you should get back into F1. What the heck? Let's take a look at the motor real quick. So we got a V8. It's a 4-liter V8. Let's take a look. All right. 4-liter V8, 414 horsepower, 295 foot-pounds of torque. A couple things I love. You've got a functional ram air here in the grill, and you also had another actual intake piece here that's functional in the hood, which I think is really cool. You got your power bump, which is up here. That looks awesome on these cars to house this huge 4-liter V8. It's a very high revving, so this is your 8,300 RPM red line on this thing, and man, it's a screamer. It makes peak power from 6,000 to 8,000 RPMs. So you know, you can't, I always take people on test drives and these stuff, and they go like from 1,000 RPMs to 5 and literally never get into the power band. This car is made to drive. You've got to really use those RPMs and go through those gears and keep it in its power band. And I don't know, some people might have a hard time with that, but I love it, but you have to drive it. It's not this torque monster. It's this high revving, high horsepower, you know, that you've got to really access that horsepower by revving it up. I love that, it's kind of hard to see, but independent throttle bodies. And this is old school. No direct fuel injection here. Independent throttle bodies on every cylinder. It's just badass, and it is a work of art. They use a special cylinder liner to just make it super low friction. It's just an incredible engine, one of a kind. You know, this and I guess the E60 M5 engine was kind of like that generation. Unlike the E60 M5 though, so that was kind of the first high revving motor they built. was the V10, the 5-liter. And that had a single clutch SMG. So what did that stand for? I don't know, semi-automatic gearbox. And then they went to the DCT, and this was the first generation of the DCT. So that's a dual clutch transmission. And BMW, this was kind of the first time they've used it. Now look how many cars it's coming in. But they really, the E60 was jerky with SMG. There was, yeah, it had a few problems, few maintenance things with it. You'd have solenoids go out and clutch backs and a few things. They really figured it out with the DCT and the M3. So it definitely is a huge step. I love the transmission. It's bulletproof. The motor's pretty much bulletproof too, as long as you take care of it. You know, these cars are, man, they use quality parts on this M3. I've talked to the techs about them, and you know, really, as far as like maintenance and reliability, they have been like so good. You've got really good brakes. Sorry, they look a little rusty just from me washing it. It's funny, you know, you look at the brakes and they're not these fancy looking Brimbos, but trust me, they work. And it's weird how you associate good looking brakes to good working brakes, but you got a two-piece rotor, pinned two-piece rotor, aluminum carrier, front and rear. And you know, they just work. You know, this car has the most amazing balance. It's just so, you're so connected. I think that's the word on the M3, is you're just so connected to this car. You sounds cheesy, but I mean, you really feel like you're part of the car when you drive it, and it is so enjoyable to drive the M3, the E92 M3. Let's take a quick look. So we got wide body. It starts out as a 3 Series, obviously, as you know, but then 90% of the car has been changed. So we go to plastic fenders that are super, super wide body. Look at those things coming out. And then wide body also in the rear, aluminum. And you've got your carbon top. You could get a sunroof for free or a carbon top, either one. Dude, do the carbon top. You don't want to put a sunroof on a sports car. That's like trying to make a convertible fast. It's just not a good idea. But yeah, nice structural, lightweight carbon sunroof. You could only get the carbon top in the coupe, the sedan. It wasn't an option. In the new cars, you can get a carbon roof in the sedan, which was really cool. I bought a 2016 M3 and it did have the carbon top, and I loved it. So like I said, 19-inch wheels. Go back to the back here. Got your classic, sorry, it's a little bright, guys. Your classic pipes, your quad pipes. Great looking behind. What else? What else to talk about on this guy? Love these mirrors. This was like the first gen where they did this cool mirror, and I remember people were just in love with this mirror design when it came out on the E92. What else? I think as far as exterior, obviously great lights. Love the front end, all the cooling in the front end. It's just a great car. A car that you can take to the track, and you know, if you want to race it hardcore, you can do a couple things to it and it'll be one of the best cars out there. All right, let's take a look at the inside. But yeah, just, man, wide body is crazy. Like I said, it is kind of heavy, you know, like coming from an E46, it gained a lot of weight putting that V8 in it. Oh, and then the diff. So you got the rear electronically controlled diff, which makes the car. But I think this car is just so precise, and like they just married like the valve train, the transmission, the differential, and like the grip and suspension. It's just, they did such a good job of, I don't know, man, just refining the refinement of this car to make it such an enjoyable car. And I definitely, these are crazy too. These are just such a good value now. So you can always tell when you're looking for an E92, if they have the silver speaker, that's the $1,900 stereo upgrade, and it is an awesome stereo. They did this nice carbon weave, which they've kind of put back. I had it in my M2, similar style in my M2. You've got your awesome triple stitch steering wheel, and these seats are great. They're a great comfortable seat that still is like super supportive. I really liked them. Again, with the M3, you know, real back seat, you have to get in it, but once you're in the back, it's actually really comfortable. So it is a car that you can take a road trip on. And your passengers in the rear can be comfortable. It's a little bit tight getting in and out. Besides that, it's one of the only coupes I know of that has a decent back seat. So let's sit in here. All right, so in the car, great gauges. You know, one of the things I didn't like about the M2 was the gauges. These gauges are clear and beautiful, and they work awesome. You've got your rev counter here, which is it's video game-ish. You've got it's like yellow, green, red lights, and it's like the bomb. You just want to redline it every time you get in the car. It's so fun. But yeah, very simple. You know, the E92 was a very simple, beautiful interior, just classic BMW, man, just bad A. So you had your power button, which is basically like your throttle response, your traction control, and then this was your EDC, which this car doesn't have, which I was thinking about. It doesn't have the EDC, but honestly, in a used one, you might want to find the one without an EDC button, which is electronic dampener control. Just because, you know, if you're getting a car with a little higher miles now, the suspension is going to be bad. You can throw a nice set of Club Sport, KW Club Sports on this or something, and when you don't have the electronic stuff to worry about, it's just going to be a really easy, simple transition, a lot cheaper and awesome. But so yeah, so this car was pretty loaded. Has the iDrive, the better radio, the 19-inch wheels, and the automatic transmission. Let's talk about transmissions. So DCT, you've got DCT or a manual that came in this car, 6-speed manual. As much as I love manuals, do not buy an E92 with a manual transmission. This motor was formulated for this DCT transmission, and you'll really be missing out on a lot of experience of this car with a manual transmission. There's a lot of good cars, like the Camaro we reviewed, you know, of course you got to get the manual in that car. But this car, believe it or not, you'll be missing it. You'll be missing what they designed this car to do without this DCT. It keeps your RPM always at the perfect, right in the power every time you shift, and it's just the way to go. So, all right, guys. I think that's good for my interior and exterior review. Let's go out and have a fun drive. I'm excited to drive this thing. Every time I get in it, I remember how much I adored this car or these cars, and I'm excited to go for a nice drive today. All right. All right, YouTube. Let's go for a drive in an E92 M3. I wanted to find a road that had a little bit more sweepers. This road's a little bumpy. Sorry, it's 4th of July weekend and people are out and about this weekend. Just getting back in this. I've been driving it for about 30 minutes. Finally got to the road where I can actually give it gas, and I miss this thing. I miss my old E92. Like I said in the garage, just how connected I am. I can feel the front axle of this car, and you have this long gear. When you let off the throttle, it kind of pulls back. You know, it's got a little bit of, so you can really just modulate the throttle so good. And you know, it's almost a good thing that it doesn't make that much torque because it's so easy to drive. You're able to just kind of finesse it in these corners and not rip the back end out of the car, but accelerate just so brilliantly. gears. You know, this, you can see how much I'm shifting. I'm kind of having fun, but this is why you want the DCT. It's just, you keep it in its power band so good. Okay. Yeah, you can. Oh, jeez, this car's good. You can keep it right in the power band. And like I said, this car makes its peak power from 6,000 to 8,000 RPMs. And so you just get it, it'll rev match, and you can just scream and just go. And it's just, oh, it's so fast. And the brake feels so good. And like I said, like you can kind of get this car loose, have the M button on, you have your M button that's programmable kind of to your personal settings. I like it in MDM, which is your middle traction control setting. I like the transmission all the way up, and then power on and just everything ripping. But oh man, it's good. It's so good. It's just, it's so easy to drive and get the feel of the car, and it just makes you a better driver. You learn the systems and you learn how the car reacts, and it's just a pleasure to drive. Again, sorry this road's a little bumpy, but 4th of July weekend there's just too many people out to go to my regular roads. In fact, it looks like we caught somebody here. So anyways, yeah, car just feels amazing. Hydraulic steering. So this is the last generation with hydraulic steering. And it just has a great weight to it. And just, man, I just know what this car is doing. You know, that's really what I think makes it so awesome, is you know what the front end's doing, you know what the back end's doing. You just, thanks, man. You just know what the car is doing. And it just makes it so fun. I know when it's going to step out on me, and I can just control it. I can just control it and play with it. It's just awesome. You can tell when you want to go out and come back, and just, it's just so freaking good. Good radius right there. Yeah, just awesome. Just awesome. You gotta rev it. It's a screamer. It's a screamer. If you want a torquey car, you know, down low power, this is not the car. This is a car that's made for the track. But if you get it where it's at home, you'll love it. What else? The M suspension with the wide body just works, man. Just works. It's comfortable daily. One thing that you miss from the newer cars, the newer turbo cars, is the NA motor, is the throttle response. I mean, I barely touch the gas, and it just wants to go. And so you have that instant just sensation of power, which is the bomb. There's a beautiful shot right there. Yeah, and that's something that, you know, NA, it's kind of like a GT3. Maybe this is a budget GT3. Obviously, it's not quite the weapon of the GT3, but same recipe. High revving motor. It's just, man, they're fun. I get why they're so sought after, because they're just so freaking fun to drive, and drive aggressive. What else? Oh, it's just so enjoyable. So enjoyable. Just wring this car's neck. Love it. Downshift, rev match, into the corner. Just freaking the bomb. You got these long gears. Long gears because it's a long gear, and because you have so much RPM. It's got great turning, a lot of bite. If anything, it's got a little bit of oversteer, which is fun. It's awesome to. This is probably one of the The best car that I've ever had to drift is probably the E39 M5, but the second best one is probably this car. The E92 is just, oh, it's so fun to just step out a little bit in it and just bring it back whenever you want. So much grip. Jeez. So good. It's so good. It's just such a screamer. So yeah, they were right. The engineers, when they did this V8, they knew what they were doing. It's amazing, and it works, and it's better than the 6. In a lot of ways, it's better than the turbocharged motors. It's just, it's the end of an era, I suppose. So, if you're in the market for an old E92 and an older M3, do it, man. These cars are between 20 and 30,000 bucks. You can find a pretty clean E92. They make it in the coupe and the sedan. Get a DCT, and just love it, dude. It's just the freaking bomb, man. Yeah, there's not many cars out there on the road today between $20,000 and $30,000 that can give you as much driving pleasure as the E92 M3. It's just freaking awesome. Sometimes it's not all about horsepower and 0 to 60. It's about the way you feel in a car. And I always say that, I guess, in my reviews, but this thing's just a smile factory. That's what this thing is. You're having a bad day, hop in the E92 M3 and go for a drive, man. It'll just make it all better. Yeah, I think I pretty much covered it. It's the bomb. Probably, honestly, one of my favorite driving experiences of all the cars I've ever had. The E92 M3 with this V8. They overbuilt the car. They honestly gave you too much. You know, cars always have to fit a marketing slot. I think really BMW wanted to make a statement with this car, and they did, and it's just that good. Yeah, it just picks up speed. Like, even though, like, you look at the stats, it just picks up speed so well, but keeps your grip and keeps you moving forward at a nice high rate of speed. Anyways, thanks YouTube, love you guys. I appreciate any likes, or anybody that wants more cool content like this, please subscribe. Thanks again, I'll see you next time.